no shame for showing this pretty much every single pod we do. Liverpool are top of the league, 9 games to go, 12 points clear. I mean, that is the ultimate rosy picture. It is just a question still of when, not if for us, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I know a few heads have fallen off in the aftermath of kind of a disappointing week, but Liverpool, I guarantee, will win the Premier League title this season. There's absolutely no question about that. I mean, was it 5 more wins, does it? And that's even if Arsenal win every single game. So, we're talking about Liverpool can afford 4 losses. Even if Arsenal are perfect, Arsenal won't be perfect. So, yeah, it's absolutely happening. And yeah, it's crazy that you've got so many games to go and Liverpool can confidently say that. And it's very exciting. It's something to look forward to, this run-in, really.
Yeah, it is. And you talk about the run in there, and naturally people, I know we've sort of alluded to it, but we're really facing into this now because when it starts up again, these games do start to come thick and fast. And April even is a crazy month. There's those 5 big league fixtures, starting with the derby at home all the way through to Spurs there right at the end of the month. I mean, when you look at those fixtures, they seem pretty decent on paper, because if you look at where the teams are in the league that we're facing, is the one that you're thinking, I suppose, at both ends, one that you're like, yeah, we're going to win that. That feels like the best 3 points. And one where you're thinking, could that be the toughest?
To be honest, you always think Liverpool are going to win the home games. I would stick to that. I think, the Spurs on paper, you'd say is a tough home game, wouldn't you? Because, it's one of the higher profile teams, but they've been not that great this season. So, you should be beating them. And I think Liverpool will. And you look at the Everton game, again, that was tough at Goodison Park, but Liverpool were within a kick of beating Everton. They are in the lower part of the table. David Moyes doesn't have a great record coming to Anfield. Everton don't have a great record at Anfield. So again, you should. I just think Liverpool will be winning the home games. I look at Leicester; it's probably the easiest away game you could possibly have at the moment with the form that they're in. So I guess from that run of 5 that's coming up is obviously that Fulham one maybe sticks out. They're a decent side, aren't they? They can make it tricky for you, and maybe that's one where Liverpool drop some points. But it does look a kind run, and the fact is, you set up kind runs like this and put yourself in a position to capitalise on them by coming through tough runs and winning games. And Liverpool did that very recently. We think of City, Villa away, Everton away, all that they had to get through. They came through and they won enough of those. They picked up enough points in that run. And that's where they basically, for me, won the title. And the reward then is to come into runs like this where you should be picking up, I think, out of 15 points, you're kind of hoping that you could pick up 13. If they did that again, Arsenal will drop some points in there again, and maybe that might be even enough to win the title. But it's a kind looking run, as you say, and the whole running really. They've got a kind of tough end, haven't they? But Liverpool could have it wrapped up before then. So that's the aim, and let's hope they do it.
It's a funny one because with Arsenal and their games, it's still this perpetrated myth that Arsenal are just brilliant, but it's the injuries. But even when all those players were fit, it's always been around the 2-point mark. Arsenal have never gone to the points per game that Liverpool have, not even close, people, if you look at it. When you look at these ones, because it's almost that everyone's just assumed, well, Arsenal are going to win every single game till the end of the season. But you look at a few of these, there are a few you think, they could be tough, couldn't they?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Everton away, I think Arsenal have dropped points in that fairly regularly in recent years, it's felt like. And so that is definitely a tough one for them. And Fulham held them to a draw earlier this season. Yeah. I think Brentford are always a nightmare in their ability to kind of sit in deep, make it difficult for you and hit you on the counter. I mean, Liverpool had a really tough game there, didn't they, where they just nicked it at the end. They dominated and they did well, but obviously Brentford can hang on. They can make it tricky for you. There's potential for drop points all the way through there. And as you say, it's not like Arsenal's form's been fantastic anyway. I mean, I'd be really surprised if they suddenly tick up to 2.5 points per game from here. I really can't see that, to be honest. And the fact is, they basically need to win every game to even give themselves a sniff of a chance, and they won't do that. So I guess the big thing for them is Saka coming back. But let's be honest, he is a phenomenal footballer, but it's going to take him a little bit of time to get back in, and we won't see the best of him until next season. And So the fact is, all of Arsenal's other issues that they've got are still going to be there. So, I just can't see them winning out between now and the end of the season. And that's what they'd have to do to apply even a modicum of pressure to Liverpool.
It is crazy. I mean, Arsenal are literally tracking at 2 points a game exactly. They've got 9 games left to go. So if they keep that average, that puts them at 76, which means Liverpool would only need 7 points to win the title. And that's the tracking all the way through, people. That's just a fact that cannot be disputed at all. So it is interesting.
I think Liverpool will get 7. I imagine Liverpool will get 7.
Yeah, fingers crossed on that regard. I mean, it might be sort of, people will say it's greedy, and I get that, but everyone is now starting to look at when do they think it's going to be, and obviously tickets will be like rocking horse dumps, as it were. So is it still Spurs you get that inkling for? Is that still the one you're looking towards and thinking where it could be?
Yeah, I don't know why. It just kind of it stood out to me. I think that'd be a great time to do it as well, wouldn't it? To win it there, to win it at Anfield, in front of the fans. To not have it decided with Arsenal dropping points would be nice as well. If Liverpool could go out and grab it, that would be absolutely fantastic. So that would be a nice one. Let's. I hope that's the case. I see your comments pouring in there. By the way, somebody saying they're going to end up second place after Arsenal. No, they won't. They won't.
Yeah, it'd say that people still sort of debating that, but what will be, I suppose. But we'll have to see how that running shapes up, and I suppose in a good way, because people have asked about this all during the international break. The questions are coming in. It is just going to be completely different from last season. I mean, last season, obviously the summer was a non-entity, wasn't it? Chiesa on Marmadashvili, that, but it's a title win that's coming. It's just going to be busy incomings and exits, and it does feel like, we hate using this phrase, but potential, the biggest churn almost we've seen in some time.
Yeah, that's it. And I Liverpool would have loved to avoid that and have kind of built in a slower and more methodical way. But obviously they've kind of lost a couple of summers to planning, because they've been that upheaval in the sporting director role. It's, they've not all been pulling together in the same direction at times, recruitment and the management. So it's been a bit of a strange period, and it's just coming to the point where this squad needs to kind of hit the reset button, doesn't it, and have a big refresh. So again, I still think they'd like to keep it to a minimum if possible and get as many of those contracts signed, and then they'll sanction some exits, but as few as possible, and replace them as few as possible. But I just don't think there's any avoiding it, and so I do expect a busy summer for Liverpool. And again, it's one of those things that kind of annoys people when you hear that. But I can promise, I genuinely, I don't think I've ever said that before in my time covering Liverpool. It's going to be a huge summer for Liverpool, because I very rarely, or have they ever really needed one. It's only ever needed a lot of the time tweaks, or even the midfield rebuild. It was a rebuild of one very specific area. It wasn't ripping up the entire squad. It was tweaking one area. So whereas I just think there's going to be so many exits that you can't avoid here, and those players are going to need replacing. I think this is the first time in a long time I felt comfortable promising that it is going to be a busy summer for Liverpool, and a big summer. That said, like I said before, I think the net spend could still be very, very low, and I think people should welcome that. If you can do another deal like McAllister for 35 million, if you can sign another player like Gravenberch for 30 odd million, these are good deals. So do them. So I still think, because they can generate a lot on sales and hopefully sign smartly, I still think the net spend could be low. But I think it's going to be a big summer of a lot of turnover at Liverpool, which will be interesting, fascinating, and very, very nice to go into it from the point of view of having won the title and not being panicky about what comes next. It'll be it's a good spot to sell the project to players, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see soon enough just how busy it is. But before then, we will see what the walk to the title looks like, or whether it's a procession or a romp. But we'll be here to cover all of it. And as ever, all it leaves me to say is, for answering all questions, for giving us your insight analysis, David, it is much appreciated.
Thanks for having me.
And ladies and gents, that was another Media Matters by Anfield Index.